is here for the first time. Yeah. Um, Very happy to
Yeah,
have
I
you.
was I was here the first one and I loved it and I probably
Oh,
missed
in the
that
first one
one or
you were
two.
there. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
I
okay.
loved the
All right,
session.
all right. Welcome, welcome back. So we are
Thank you.
still trying to toy around the timing and which is suitable for whom and things like that. So hopefully we'll freeze at something. So maybe around 4 to 5, IST. Also considering Vikram is in Australia, it's already 10:30 for him at night. So maybe 4 p.m. maybe is a good idea. We'll just decide on that. So happy to have all of you here, and let us get going. And this is something so close to my heart, and Vikram has made this happen, and so I put in some level of compiling things together. A lot of things in my head comes in, I just don't want to make it a very transactional, read the shloka and give the meaning. I want to go beyond that as to how we can think about it and how we can make it an inspirational text, and what how is it can how it can help us in the day-to-day activities and to take decisions and the way we go about with our lives. So that is the reason, I take some time to pull in a lot of things and try to. Now, very quickly, about last session, also, like Madhvi was not there, maybe some others were not there. So we did talk about the first chapter of the Gita. We talked about Arjuna's despair. We call it Arjuna Vishada Yoga, where this mighty, strong, ambitious Arjuna comes to the battlefield with a great ambition to fight the enemies, win the war, and become the prince. Now, with that mindset, he comes in, and undoubtedly, he's one of the strongest people, greatest of archers, envied by everybody, a great prince material, a great person. Now, the moment he is taken in the middle of the battlefield and he sees all of those people standing in the opposition who are very close to him, like Pitamaha and Dronacharya and Kripa, he gets terribly upset and he sees his cousins and everybody, and he is taken over by emotion. When emotion takes over the intellect, what happens is his that mighty body, the strong body becomes weak, his ambitious mind becomes frail, and he's not even able to stand. And he just sits down on the chariot. He tells Krishna, no, I'm too weak. I can't even hold my bow. The Gandiva, the famous Gandiva of Arjuna, it just slips from his shoulder and he's unable to do anything. So now what we saw is this was the gist of the last week's chapter 1. Now what we saw is, just think about this. Somebody as mighty and strong as Arjuna, in just seconds, in a few seconds, his entire personality changes from all of that strength and might and wanting to fight and ambition to just nothing, a weak lump of flesh, and unable to think and totally confused and cannot take a decision in a huge dilemma. Even dilemma, we need a mind to think. He has no mind. He's totally confused. So now what we saw was, now what is what is the value of knowing this for us? I thought there is a direct link between what happened to Arjuna and us. In some way or the other, we go through these kind of emotions. On a certain day, we feel great about ourselves. Another day, just because somebody told us something, or we lost something, or the big boss told something to us, or somebody else did something to us, or we failed in a certain project, suddenly our confidence dips, emotion takes over, and we decide we are not good, and people are much more intelligent, I am not as good, I am good for nothing. To that extent we get into a state of mind. So the state of mind, as we get emotional, suddenly everything disappears from our life. Now what is it we have to remember when we get into this state of mind? One other thing we need to remember is emotion has taken over. My intellect and reason is not working at the moment. So let me not take big decisions. Take that deep breath and stay calm and try to go back to your uh, intellect brain, or the rational brain, for you to take a decision. That's one. How is this possible? Now, this is possible. Last time we came up with two tools. One is Viveka, number two is Vairagya. Viveka is your ability to decide what is right and what is wrong. Now, Arjuna is totally confused what is right and what is wrong. He is not able to decide. On the one side, he's got all his relatives and friends standing on the other side, and he's got to kill them and win the war. Is winning the war more important in his dharma, or to safeguard the lives of his relatives is more important? So now he's not able to. His Viveka has disappeared. So Viveka is something we've got to pull in. What is the meaning of Viveka? To be able to discern and discriminate between right and wrong, good and bad. What is it I should do, should not do? That is one piece of information. The second that is important is Vairagya, which is nothing but to stay detached. When we are emotional, we are into attachment. So these are the two tools that we talked about. One is not to be emotionally hijacked, but that's not possible. We're all human beings. But when we are emotionally hijacked, try to stay a little calm and calm down. Take your that little time. Don't take big decisions at that point in time. Get into the space of thinking rationally what is right, what is wrong, and be slightly detached from what is happening. Do not personalize. Yeah, so these were certain things we saw. Right now, we are going to dive into the chapter 2. Chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita is like a mini Gita. It is a synopsis of the entire Gita. It's an extremely powerful chapter, very, very important chapter. So before we start getting into the chapter 2, I have got to set the context here. Now, Krishna in the chapter 2 many times says he's contemplating and thinking. And he's also telling Arjuna, who are the people who will benefit from the Gita? Who are the people who are fit to listen to Gita lecture? And for some reason or the other, he chose Arjuna to give the sermon of Gita. So it looks like Arjuna had all those qualities to be a recipient of this great text called the Gita. So now what is the quality that is required? Krishna could have chosen anybody. He did not choose the eldest brother, Yudhishthir. He did not choose Bhim. He did not choose any other Kauravas. He did not choose anybody. He chose Arjuna. So what is that quality that was there in Arjuna that we as listeners need to have to be able to benefit from the Gita? A very simple thing he says, Krishna says, and the Gita says at large in many points in many chapters, is the mindset of a seeker. A mindset of a seeker who is eager to learn, who is eager to get knowledge. Not a kind of person who is here to judge, debate, negate, talk counter, argue just for the sake of it. But there is a internal craving and desire to learn, to seek, and to acquire knowledge. So that was one important quality that Arjuna had. Then number 2, Krishna talks about humility, being humble. Number 3, he talks about your ability to surrender. So your ability to completely surrender and listen in such a way that it is constructive and you come up with constructive thinking, constructive curiosity. As we proceed with the Gita, you will see the kind of questions Arjuna is going to ask is so authentic, so real, and it is so genuine. He's just confused. He's like a child that is confused, seeking that nurturing parent in Krishna. Yeah. So these are the kind of mindset that is required if you want to benefit from Gita. That's what Krishna says, and also the Gita says. Okay, so these were the qualities of Arjuna. Okay, so what was the difference between Duryodhana and Arjuna? For instance, Duryodhana was the elder. In fact, he was elder to Arjuna also. And he is also from the same family, in fact, the Kaurav, their cousins. So what is the difference? Duryodhana was extremely egoistic. His ego level was so very high, and he suffered intensely with the Arishad Varga. Arishad Varga is a concept Bhagavad Gita talks about: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Now, these are called the Ari Shad Varga. Shad is 6. Ari is the barrier. These gunas, these negative gunas, come as a barrier to realization, self-realization. And Duryodhana suffered these big time. We all have it to some extent. If it's a spectrum of 0 to 100, we're all there somewhere. And we go through all of these things. Yes, we all do. But at least when we go through that, we realize, we feel bad, we want to come out of it. But Duryodhana is a kind of person, he never wanted to come out of it. In the Mahabharata, he very clearly says, Janami dharmam nachame pravrittihi, janami adharmam nachame nivrittihi. He's telling, I know what is dharma, don't preach me. I know what is adharma, again, don't preach me. But I do not feel like taking the path of dharma. I want to take only the path of adharma. That is the state of mind of Duryodhana. But on the other hand, Arjuna can repent. He can feel bad. So feeling bad and repenting and going through that little pain in the chest is a good idea. That means you have the mindset of a seeker. You want to be a better human being. And the moment you want to be a better human being, that is Arjuna's quality. The moment we have that, the guru will arrive. The teacher will arrive. Yeah, so that is one very, very important piece of information, the mindset that we need to hold to hear the Gita and to benefit from it. Now, when we talked about those six qualities, Arishad Varga, very interestingly, even Bible talks about it. The seven deadly sins. You might have heard of the seven deadly sins. So we in the Sanatana Dharma, we have this Arishad Varga, six of them. And the biblical seven deadly sins are seven of them. And five are common. Common are, kama, lust is common. Krodha, wrath, anger. Kama, krodha. Moha is not there in the biblical seven deadly sins. Kama, krodha, lobha. Moha is not there. Mada, pride is there in the seven deadly sins. Matsarya, jealousy. Jealousy is there. Kama, krodha, lobha is also there, which is greed. Kama, krodha, lobha, mada, matsarya. These are the common between the Christianity and also this, interestingly. But moha is nothing but attachment. That is very, very special to Sanatana Dharma and also the Eastern, equally to Buddhism. Yeah, which talks about attachment. Now, attachment is a huge barrier to self-realization in the Eastern part of the world. So what are the other two things in the biblical thing? We have five of them, but it is seven deadly sins. It is sloth and gluttony. Sloth and gluttony, but somewhere that is not mentioned here. But when we talk about tamo guna, tamas as a guna in the Bhagavad Gita, that will come up. Gluttony is a bad thing, but that is not coming under this Arishad Varga. So this is just an interesting parallel between the Bible and the biblical seven deadly sins and the Sanatana Dharma's Arishad Varga. So all these the negative qualities are very stark in Duryodhana, but they are very fluid in Arjuna, like many of us. It is fluid. He repents. He feels bad. He is seeking. He wants to be a better human being. On the other hand, Duryodhana very clearly says, no, I'm good the way I am. I know this is dharma, this is adharma, but my mind is taking me towards adharma. This is the way I'm going to be. So in a situation like that, you're not seeking. Only when you're seeking, you can benefit. So that is what the Gita says. Yes, Vikram, you want to say something?
Can we ask question now, or should we leave it at the end?
No. No holding back. You can ask now.
Okay, so Arishad Varga. And
Arishad Varga.
Arishad Varga. And you
Yes.
mentioned about Tamoguna, right?
Huh.
So Tamoguna is not a part of Arishad Varga, right? It's not part, right?
No, it is not. It is not. Okay. It is not a part of Arishad Varga.
Okay, fine.
On the other hand, people with Tamoguna may suffer these.
So somewhere Tamoguna and Arishad Vargas are somewhere overlapping, not fully, but little bit, partially.
In fact, in Arishad Varga, even Rajoguna will come.
Okay.
Greed, ambition, over-ambition, want to be full of action.
Ego.
No, ambition.
Ambition, okay.
Completely involved in the worldly thing. I want to, probably Trump is full of Rajoguna. He is in Rajas. Probably Rajas plus Tamas. I don't know. Rajas and Tamas. Right. So we are all, I would say the first psychometric tool came in from the Bhagavad Gita. Yes, sir. Please go ahead, Vikram.
No, that's the only question. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is something we have to remember. Also, this knowledge is very useful because, these 6 things we've got to note. Anytime we are uncomfortable with ourselves, we are indulging in one of these 6. Inside of us, we know that something is not right. We are feeling uncomfortable. The moment we are uncomfortable, we are like Arjuna. That's a good thing to feel uncomfortable, but you should not let it go. You have to stop and think. What is making me uncomfortable? Is it kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya? Okay, looks like I'm envious of somebody. That is making me uncomfortable. That's also in a way making me feel guilty. Why is it I'm jealous? So that is the way we can tackle it. We can truly benefit. These 6 things we can write someplace and keep, because I can tell you, anytime you're uncomfortable with yourself, your life, or in a relationship, it will be one of these that is acting up, flaring up. And the moment you take charge of that, all these things happen in a very subconscious level. And that is the delusion, that is the Maya. So very subconscious, we're not even aware of it. But the moment you question the Maya will disappear. So many times we're not questioning what is troubling us. The moment you start questioning it, it has to disappear, because you've gone to the very rational frame of mind and your problems have come to the conscious level. You're thinking about it, talking about it, naming it, and you'll be able to research about it and try to find solution. Now, whenever you become solution oriented, your rational mind is working. Yeah, it is not in the subconscious. It is not in the Maya level anymore, because you know it. Yeah, anything you don't know is Maya. But the moment you get to know at a conscious level, it becomes more of a conscious knowledge. Yeah, so these are some of the reasons why Arjuna was chosen, and these are the qualities that we need to kind of imbibe also to be able to benefit from the. I'm saying this because this is going to be very important in chapter 2, because Krishna is going to start speaking now. The entire first chapter, Krishna has not spoken a word. And we will talk about it as to why Krishna did not speak even a word there. Yeah. So now, what is Duryodhana saying? He's saying that Janami dharmam nachame. I know dharma, I know adharma, but my mind is going towards this and not towards dharma, and I will do that. So this is my nature. I will live by my nature. That is what he's saying. So what is Krishna and what is the Gita trying to tell us? Discover your nature, find out what is right, what is not right, and go beyond your nature. Ultimately, the 3 gunas that Gita talks about, sattva, raj, and tamo. Sattva is supposed to be good. But ultimately, by the time we reach the 18th chapter, you will realize, but we have to go even beyond sattva. All these are path. If you are in tamas, you have to go to rajas, then to the sattva, then go beyond your personality, beyond that, wherein you become very neutral. You're very neutral. So now that is something really important, going beyond the prakriti. So now this guy Duryodhana, he wants to stick to his prakriti and he doesn't want to grow. So when I say this, now again, the last item to say about what is the quality that is required if you want to benefit most from the Gita, I can think of what Adi Shankara had to say in his brilliant book, Viveka Chudamani. He has written a beautiful book called Viveka. I mean, that's just, it's a gem. It's a great book. In which I think the 3rd shloka, he says, Manushyatvam Mumukshatvam Maha Purusha Samshrayah. Manushyatvam Mumukshatvam Maha Purusha Samshrayah. What does it mean? We are blessed to be born as human. To start with, Manushyatvam. Come on, understand, don't underestimate that. You could have been born as anything. There are lakhs and crores of Jeev Rashi. That's what the Vedantas talk about. There are so many creations of God. We could have been born as anything. This is the only Janma or the birth which has the ability to discriminate. Now, when I talk about Viveka, a cow or a dog cannot have Viveka. It is only human beings who can discern, separate good from the bad. So Adi Shankara says, Manushyatvam, don't underestimate that. You're born as a human. Then he talks about Mumukshatvam. Mumukshatvam is that innate craving to be a better person. That innate craving to be a better person. I mean, the very fact that you people are here and that we are talking in a forum, that shows that there is that craving is there. So he says, Manushyatvam, Mumukshatvam, Mahapurusha Samshraya. Then seeking the company of the good. Born as a human being, stay blessed, and having the craving to be a better person and seeking the company of the knowledgeable. Now he says, if you can be in this path in a consistent basis, you're going to be attaining whatever you want to attain. That's what Adi Shankara says. So these are a few things as a mindset. We've got to think and reset our mind all the time if we want to attain something really beneficial from all these discussions. That is one. Now going to the second chapter. We're starting with the chapter 2, which is called the Sankhya Yoga. Again, I want to state a few things about the Sankhya Yoga. I'll tell you what it is all about. And also, I'm going to tell you what it contains. And we'll take up a few shlokas today. And because the second chapter is one of the most important chapters, it is like a synopsis of the entire Bhagavad Gita. It talks about Jnana Yoga. It talks about Sthita Prajna Lakshana. It talks about Karma Yoga. It talks about laws of nature, because Krishna is talking for the first time, trying to make Arjuna understand where the confusion is coming from and trying to clarify and make him act what is, according to his Swadharma. Yeah. So lots of concepts will come in the second chapter. So now, and I don't want to rush through them. I want us to dive into each one of the shloka. Dive deeper into each one of the shloka and try to understand what we are taking away. And then you're most welcome to stop me anytime and ask me questions. Yeah. Because it's very, very challenging, very interesting. So this chapter 2, Sankhya Yoga. What is the meaning of Sankhya Yoga? Yoga of knowledge. So Gita again talks about two things, Vidya and Avidya. Vidya is knowledge. Avidya is ignorance. So in a very short way of saying, Arjuna, who has got into avidya, who has become ignorant, ignorance leads to confusion and conflict. But Arjuna, by the end of the Gita, Krishna is able to give him that knowledge and get rid of his ignorance. So in the last chapter, Arjuna tells Krishna, Nashto moha, moha, the attachment, smritir labdha, tuvat prasadat maya achyuta. So with all of these things, great Krishna, you told me, my delusion is gone. Confusion has evaporated. My mind is clear. It is focused. Arjuna is known for his focus. You know those stories, where he is pushing the arrow and the arrow goes straight into the, the eye of the fish. So he is known for his focus. Even somebody as great as Arjuna gets into conflict and he's able to get rid of it and finally and come back, restore his clarity. So now, it is yoga of knowledge. So now this chapter gets divided. Now also another thing important here that may come to your mind as we are talking. Now Bhagavad Gita embraces all philosophies of Sanatana Dharma. Now what does that mean? Sanatana Dharma is such a vast subject. It embraces and accommodates everything. Theism, atheism, believers, non-believers, Advaita, Dvaita, Visishtadvaita, everything it accommodates. One of the most tolerant thinking process in the world. It accommodates. There were groups of people who were called Charvakas. You might have heard. Charvakas are atheists. They have had arguments with Adi Shankara in the 8th century, whenever he lived, about whether God exists or not. And Adi Shankara welcomed it. We need to talk it out. Because Advaita itself, even Sankhya Yoga, yoga of knowledge, it's a very analytical knowledge. Here in this chapter, we are not going to say, yeah, pray to God, pray all the time, you fall at his feet, everything will be okay. No, this chapter is not that. Yes, we will talk about Bhakti Yoga. That will come later. That will come, after the 7th, 8th, and 9th chapter, full of Bhakti Yoga. Then the Vishwarupa we have in the 11th chapter, full of Bhakti Yoga. That is there. It has its own place. But in the chapter 2, it is full of knowledge, analytical reasoning. It is something like law of gravity. If you drop a ball, it's going to fall. If you drop a ball and say, no, I'm, Trump and the ball should not fall. That is not going to happen. I'm the most influential person on the globe. So if I'm going to drop the ball, it should not fall. Will the nature listen to you? No. So now this chapter is going to talk about all logic. So that is beauty of Sankhya, yoga, this particular chapter, and also Gita as a topic embraces everything. So that is the reason I call it a spiritual guide. So it's not about the West or the East or this religion, that religion. It is going to give some value to everybody. Yeah. So that is one thing, because you will get into that doubt. Because Gita Bhashya has been done in Advaitic fashion by Adi Shankara. Ramanujacharya has done totally Dvaitic analysis. So there is Dayananda Saraswati, there is a Chinmaya interpretation, there is a Param Yogananda, hundreds of people. And maximum has been done by Germans and British. And many physicists and physics people and scientists have gone through the Gita, and they've had their own understanding and inspiration. So now it's such an interesting, it can be interpreted in, say, about 100 different ways. So now when I'm talking the Gita, when I'm going to be telling you the shloka, what does Advaita believe? Now, these are some basic knowledge you have to understand. Advaita is nothing but no two, Advaita. There is no two, there is only Brahman. If you ask Adi Shankara, he'll say, yeah, Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithyam. Jivo Brahmaiva na aparaha. There is no two, there is only Brahman and Atman. Then, but what is all this world and things? He says it's all Maya. It doesn't exist. It all exists in your mind. Nisargadatta Maharaj. Sorry, yeah, please, Vikram.
Non-duality, right? That's what this is.
Non-duality. Non-duality, no two.
No two. Okay.
Rather than saying one, it is very clear to say no two.
No two.
Advaita. No two. Non-duality. Absolutely. You're right. You're right. So Brahma Satya, Brahman is the only reality. What is Brahman now? All
Sorry,
these are very deep.
you were
Yes.
saying something about Nisargadatta Maharaj. Yes.
Nisargadatta Maharaj. Have you heard of him?
Yes, yes.
Great Advaitic philosopher, born in very, very ordinary place in Maharashtra. He became such a great. So what he says, look at the world as a dream. The moment you think it's all reality, problem will start. He says, because only Brahma Satya, Jagat is Mithya. And you need to bring that into conscious level sometimes. Then what happens when you bring it to conscious level and internalize that concept? What happens is you distance yourself from the happenings in the world. You bring in that little distance. That is such a beautiful distance. You're not stuck to it. You're bringing that distance. That distance gives you that relief. Yeah. It's all a little joke that's going on. Yeah. So that's what Nisargadatta Maharaj says. Consider this, all of this happening as a dream. And the moment you think all this is reality, you're going to be in trouble. And it's all mind game. Mind game. That's what even Adi Shankara says, Brahma Satya and Jagat Mithya. Jivo Brahmaiva na paraha. So now, why did I bring all these things in? Now in the Gita, what happens as we proceed, you can look at it from Advaitic lens. You can beautifully look at it from Dvaitic lens. So when we get into the Bhakti Marga, Bhakti Yoga, it is clear duality. There is God, there is us. There are two different things. God, us. It is dual. It's beautiful also. Now, Adi Shankara, did he believe in duality? Anybody has any answer?
No, it's non-duality.
No, he believed in
Dvaita because he composed thousands of hymns in absolute and total love for gods and goddesses, and I feel he did both. Is how I feel it.
Oh, Madhavi, that was a beautiful answer. Then why do we call him Advaitic?
I think because he had a deep understanding that what really matters is our soul, but he wanted to propose both options because for the less intellectual people, you could fall in love with your own Ishta Daivata and merge with God, versus for the more intellectually logical thinking people, you could contemplate and go into gnana. And so that's why he wrote hundreds and thousands of books for people who want to reach God through more intellectual discernment and logical thinking and rationalize and figure out who Brahman is, I think.
Brilliant. I mean, I feel so blessed to be in the company of all of you. I mean, Madhvi, you said it so beautifully. And also see the kind of options. Now, Adi Shankara is taking into consideration that so many different personalities exist. Everybody cannot go through the same path to achieve their liberation. And okay, still, why is he called Dvaitik? So, just to add to what Madhvi said, and Madhvi said it very well. He has written so many poems and prose and things about Shakti, about Shiva, about Vishnu, about Krishna. All of them he has written. And he did believe in all of these things. And he never, see, Hindu Sanatana Dharma does not, it is basically theistic. There's only a small section of people who were charvakas and atheists and all that. Largely, it gives a lot of permission and gives a lot of freedom for you to choose. But largely, it believes that there is, okay, what was Adi Shankara's? He said, "Et kaschit apara shakti atireva." Beautiful statement. He doesn't say there is Lord Rama, Lord. No, there is one Shakti above me. Et kaschit somewhere. Apara Shakti, huge Shakti, Atireva. It is somewhere. So that is amazing way of, inclusiveness. See, so much the Western world talks about inclusiveness. What can be more inclusive than this statement? Yat kaschit apara Shakti Atireva. He doesn't give it a name. Okay. Now going back, yes, he was a strong Advaitik. But he believed in all these gods. He's written so many poetries and so many beautiful things about it. So what was it? So what Shankara was saying is, and very rightly said by Madhavi, it depends on the intellectual level, inclination, not just the intellect, also the inclination. Some people love to, the 9 different margas Prahlada talked about in the Bhagavatam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. So there are 9 different paths to attain salvation. You can choose your own path. Shravanam, Sunna. Kirtanam, sing. Vishnoho Smaranam, concentrate, think. Padasevanam, do, puja and things. Archanam, again, give Lord a lot of flowers and things. Vandanam, be, do prayers. Dasyam, become his slave. Sakhyam, be his friend. Atmanivedanam, total surrender. So there are different paths that Sanatana Dharma gives us that you can choose. Now that is what even Adi Shankara believed, but what is the difference? Now this is what it is. Adi Shankara said people can have different inclination, different personality, also rightly said different level of intellect. So you can choose any path that is convenient to you, but the ultimate is jnana. These are paths, don't get stuck. Say you have a murti of, say, Lord Rama, Krishna. Start with that. See, he talked about Saguna and the Nirguna. Saguna Upasak or Nirguna Upasak. See, we are 5 sense oriented. Suddenly, if you tell me, God, Prahlada could see, he could say, God is here, God is here, God is there. But I am a very ordinary person. I am no Prahlad. I cannot see God everywhere. So, Shankara says, for us ordinary mortals, all we have is the 5 senses. That I can see, that I can hear, that I can touch, that I can feel. These are the senses. So start with the Saguna. It is okay to have a murti. It's good to have a picture. Be completely devoted to that. In Mundakopanishad, there are, Mukhyopanishad, Adi Shankara did commentary on Bhashemon. Mundakopanishad very clearly says there is superior knowledge and inferior knowledge. And ultimately, Lord Krishna, he himself says, I am also an inferior knowledge. At one point in time, Arjuna dropped me also. Just think of that. Just think of that. It's a very high level. It's a very high level and there is a lot of depth to it. So now what Shankaracharya says is, start with Saguna, but don't get stuck with, don't get attached. So there is a picture of Krishna that I have here that I pray every day. Very good. But one day if the picture is removed, if I'm lost, oh my God, what happened to the picture? So Shankara is trying to tell us, don't get attached. Ultimately, that moha, get rid of that moha. Don't be attached to that. Now, at one point in time, you have to renounce that also. But this is the path. It's a meaningful path because we are all human beings with limitations. We cannot, maybe there are some people who can directly go to Saguna. I mean, Nirguna. Without any form, nothing, God is everywhere. That is something Prahlad could see. He could tell Hiranyakashipu, his father, he is here. Yeah, can I beat this pillar and is he going to come and help me? Of course. But the kind of confidence, huh? Of course, you can do it, father. But I'm just warning you. Prahlad says, 5 years old. How brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Then, of course, we know the story. He just bangs it and Narasimha comes and all of that. So that is something like bhakti of Prahlad's bhakti is another level altogether. His belief and the faith and unparalleled faith. That was different. So that is what it is. So now when we go through the Gita, it's okay if we take some time today because these are very important for the rest of the Gita. So you will be able to interpret it the way you want, your intellect, your personality, your inclination. You can think of now, when I say Krishna is speaking, you can always, Advaitik Ramanuja, when he interpreted the Gita, he said, yeah, Krishna, Lord Krishna sitting in the Vaikuntha. And we are all lesser mortals sitting out here. And we've got to reach him. Yeah, that is the Dvaitik way of looking at it. It's beautiful. It is very beautiful and caters beautifully to the Bhakti Yoga. And now if you want to look at it the Shankara way, it is something like super consciousness, Brahman, Atman, the Nirguna. Krishna itself is Nirguna. We just gave him a name. It is just the awareness. It is the consciousness. It is the life force. It is the breath. The moment my breath is going to stop, this body will cease to exist. That breath, that consciousness, that Brahman, that Atman, call it by any name. So Advaita will call it the super consciousness, the ultimate consciousness. Buddha called it the ultimate consciousness, Chetana. Now, what is the difference between Buddhism and the most of the Sanatana Hinduism? Anybody?
So Buddhism is somewhere, I mean, this is my thought, okay? Little bit inclined what Shankaracharya thoughts, right? Little bit, because Buddhism says that Buddham Saranam Gacchami. You yourself become Buddha. You don't need to rely on anybody else. Whatever is
Yes,
you
Apo Deepo Bhava. Be your
Apodip.
own light.
Exactly. So there is no concept of worship to God or someone else. It says that you yourself become Buddha.
Yeah.
So that is a
Beautiful.
difference. Yeah.
That is the common, right? That is
Yeah.
common with Shankara. Okay. Then
Yes.
what is the difference? What is one big difference?
So big difference is Shankaracharya. He in Nirvanastakam he says that whatever is, it's in line or dilute in Shiva.
Yeah.
So
Mano Buddhi Ahankara Chittani Naha.
correct. So that's where he says that ultimately everything dilutes in the Shiva. But in Buddhism, it says that it's yourself, even if it is Buddha or Shiv, whatever, it's yourself, no one else, That is the
Mm.
difference according to me.
Mm. Any
What
sharper?
I understood.
Good, very good. In fact, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Nirvana Shataka says, yeah, that's right. Now, again, my question is if Madhvi or somebody else, Sudipta, has any answer for what is the difference? It's a very sharp difference.
The difference I feel is that they don't believe in rebirth, Buddhism, or do they? I have a feeling that they are not too inclined to believe in idol worship and that you have the capability by following Buddhist principles to be the best, and that is good enough, I guess. I mean, I have a feeling they don't believe in multiple births and less on idol worship and more on making yourself the most greatest human being by your own virtues and learning the philosophy of Buddha. I may be wrong.
You're partly correct, but yeah, you're partly correct. They did not believe in idol worship. One, apo deepo bhava, you be your own light. You have to uplift yourself. That's what even Gita is going to tell you. You have to uplift yourself. Now, the stark difference is Buddhism is anatman. Does not believe Brahman, Atma. It's atheism. Doesn't believe in God. It does believe in rebirth. So what is commonality? Is karma and rebirth. Karma and rebirth is a commonality among Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Jainism, and and parts of Taoism, Shintoism, Confucianism, China, Japan, many of the Eastern world. This rebirth as a concept, karma as a philosophy is very, very Hindu. Rebirth as a concept is believed. Absolutely, Buddhism believes rebirth, but Buddhism is anatman. We talk about atman. There is that eternal energy that will be there. Vivekananda says, when he had a conversation with Robert Ingersoll, a brilliant lawyer and a speaker from the US, Robert Ingersoll, who is an agnostic, he was a non-believer. He was telling, and our Swami Vivekananda was a Advaitik, a philosopher, brilliant human being. When they were good friends. That is what is great. You should not decide. Maybe I can have a great friend who is an atheist. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, that level of tolerance. So when they had a conversation, Robert Ingersoll said, Swamiji, I want to squeeze the orange fruit to the last drop of it, and I'm in a hurry. This was an American. He said that because my life is fleeting away. I mean, another few more years to live. When he said, I want to squeeze the orange to the last drop, he meant, I want to get the maximum essence out of life. And very soon. Because life is just going. Another few years to live. Because, in the Western world, they believe in the linear concept of time. And you die, I mean, you go to eternal heaven or eternal, they don't believe in rebirth. The Christianity and the Islam. And to that, Vivekananda had an answer. He said, I also want to squeeze the orange to the last drop of its juice, but I will do it in my own leisure because I am not going anywhere. That was his answer. That was something interesting, which is the energy does not die. The Atman or the Brahman or the energy or whatever you call it, that does not die. That is a strong belief in the Sanatana Dharma, that we continue to live. I mean, that is the concept that will be brought in by Krishna all the time. He'll tell Arjuna, you are being a fool to grieve, or you should not be grieving either for the living or the dead. Because all these people were there some time back, including you and me. And we are here right now, and we will be here in the future. So do not die for this mortal body and mind. The essence of us is going to live on. That's what he says. Well, I mean, these are a few important things as a starting point before we dive into. We can get into the shlokas, or I think we have just about 8 minutes. And any questions, any clarifications, I'll be very happy to.
So does this concept of wanting or belief in rebirth make us complacent about not doing the very best to seek enlightenment in this birth? Because you have a lot of friends in multiple levels of journey on this spiritual life. So there is the common joke that gets floated around when you want to say something deep. They say, well, you have a lot of interest in this, but there is this life, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to live my life to the fullest or something, and you're wanting to, or your wanting less is looked upon as escapism from rising to your very best capabilities intellectually. And I struggled with it a lot too in the initial few years. Is that taking a path of complacency under the guise of spirituality is just something that I would like your opinion on. Thank you.
Of course. Very, very interesting. And we can throw it open to the floor also, and Vikram can react to this. It's such an interesting piece. So I do a lot of work in cross-cultural leadership and management. We bring in all these points, linear concept of time, circular concept of time, flexibility, rigidity. So in the US, I lived in the US for a couple of years. I worked there also. I studied there. So we do talk about things like, that time is opportunity, time is the money. Time lost is money lost. So every moment has value. But on the other hand, in the Eastern world, we can be much more flexible about time. It's probably it is an offshoot of all this. That is one way of looking at it. But as we proceed to the next chapter, the chapter 2 will be hanging on for a while. Then chapter 3, when we go to the title is Karma Yoga. Krishna says, the only thing that you have to do is karma, which is action. Be action oriented. Swadharma and action. Action is something given so much of importance. So the problem here is we should not take something and distort it. It's not that the Gita says don't act. Gita just talks about the rebirth. It doesn't say don't do your karma. So doing your karma to its fullest capability, yoga karma se kausalam. Your action done to its best is yoga. Your action done to its excellence is yoga. Yoga karmasu kausalam. So there is a lot of things where Krishna is called act. Don't overthink. Act. That is there. But again, having said that, V.S. Naipaul, a great writer, he calls the Indians apathetic, indifferent, can be fatalistic, putting the blame on the fate. I think somewhere, very good point that is raised by you, we need to have an internal check. The internal check is going to be important. But also, how much do you want to be very rigid like that? You probably somewhere there is a sweet spot, I think. Don't look like an escapist and be too flexible that you won't even reach for a meeting on time. But on the other hand, don't calculate like Winston Churchill said about Americans, nation of shopkeepers where everything has a price tag about Americans. Nation of shopkeepers where everything has a price tag. I mean, that also is not very impressive. So we don't have to be that materialistic, or we don't have to dissolve or dilute ourselves in incompetency. I think there is always some sweet spot that is for, again, a spectrum, this end. Where is it you want to choose? Yeah. That is where it is. Vikram, you have anything to say on this?
No. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right. So that was actually a sweet group. I enjoyed the group. And Sudipta and Sajid, is it?
Yeah.
His name? I can see only Jit.
Yeah, Sajid. His name is Sajid. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sajid. So I'm sure they're also there. It was very nice. So what we will do is, so now I'm going to divide the chapter 2 into 3 to 4 parts. So first is going to be Krishna starts speaking. Yeah, that is amazing. The very first few shlokas. He's been a brilliant listener. We'll also see why he listened so much and did not speak so far and started speaking. So first he starts with the Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga is duality, Purusha and Prakriti. And he says Purusha is eternal, Prakriti is going to be destroyed. Prakriti is made of body and mind. That is going to be destroyed. So he's trying to teach Arjuna and tell him, why are you worried about this? This is going to nashwar hai. This is going to go. And what is permanent and immortal is your Purusha, which is the consciousness. So he spends some time on that. Then he realizes Arjuna is not picking up anything. He's not able to understand in a state of mind. Then he goes to laws of nature. Jatasya hi dhruva mrityu, dhruvam janmam. Anybody who is born has to die. He talks about the inevitables. The laws of nature he talks about. That is the second part of the second chapter. Then the third part, he dives into Karma Yoga. Karmanyevadhikaraste, the famous shloka and all that, Mahaphaleshu. So he gets into the karma, the importance of karma. Yeah, and Nishkama karma, desireless action. So that is the third part of the second chapter. The fourth part is beautiful. So Arjuna is fascinated by what Krishna is saying. Now he's asking, okay, to be a person with such a steady mind, sthita pragya, what are the qualities of sthita pragya? How can I develop that? So Krishna goes on for the last, I think, 12 or 14 shlokas, how to be a sthita pragya. So for Arjuna's question, sthita pragyasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava. How do I have those qualities? Yeah. So these are four parts. It is chapter 2 is one of the large chapters, chapter 2 and chapter 18. Chapter 2 is 72 shlokas. Chapter 18, I think, is 77 or 78 shlokas. The rest of the chapters are roughly about 40, 50, 30. There are some chapters very short, like 20 shlokas. So chapter 2, we will spend quite a bit of time. So when we meet next time, we will get into, at least we'll finish half of it. I hope so. That is the laws of nature and the Sankhya Yoga, the duality. Yeah. So that is the agenda.
Right. I would like to say something.
Yes,
Um,
please.
Initially, you mentioned about, I forget that word, which contains that six negative emotions,
Arishadvarga.
Arishadvarga. And then you
Anji.
mentioned it is mentioned in the Bible as well, right?
Seven deadly sins.
Correct. So there is a book called Kaivalya Darshanam, Holy Science. It's
ah,
written by Yukteswar Giri. He is the guru of Paramahansa Yogananda.
ah,
And this book he has wrote in 1894, and
hmm.
it is to to find the commonality between Western philosophies and the Vedas,
Yes,
Upanishad, and all. And it is
yes.
a very beautiful book.
Wow. So this is
I
Kevalya, Kevalya
Kaivalya Darshanam, or
Darshana.
you can find it Holy Science. I mean, English title is Holy. It's a very thin book, but it
Okay.
has a lot of insight about different Treta Yug, Satya Yug, how
Satyuga.
scientifically it
Got
is
it.
working,
Hmm.
and what are the common points, about Western philosophy and
Wow.
this our Vedant philosophy. And
Wow.
after doing these studies only, he decided to send Paramhans Yogananda into the Western world.
Wow. Oh, he did amazing work. Yeah,
Yes,
I've got
yes,
his thing, right here. His Gita book. You may not be able to see because it's Paramahamsa Yogananda. His guru must have been brilliant. Something like Ramakrishna Paramhamsa to Vivekananda.
yes, yes.
So the disciple becomes more popular.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Amazing, amazing. I'll look for it. I'll go
It's a
through it.
very, very nice book, and I highly recommend, if
Fantastic, fantastic. Of course, there are so many commonalities. Ultimately, we are all human beings, right? And there are definitely commonalities. Many of the things we are thinking are uncommon is created by us. And there are more commonalities rather than,
and
dissimilarities.
he has done this so in-depth study of Western theories like Bible and all, that he has
Wow.
mentioned it. He has quoted that, particular chapters, and then he tried to match that with the Vedant philosophies, saying that, look, that ultimately it is trying to drive you towards the Advaita.
That is true. That is quite true. Yeah, but we'll just have to remember two, three distinct things between Eastern and the Western: karma and reincarnation. These are very, very Eastern. There is nothing called reincarnation there, but the quantum physicist and the metaphysics also believes in this. The energy does not die.
But uh, in I'm not sure 100%, but
Hmm.
Jesus, right? That is also incarnation, right?
Do they use the word in reincarnation? You have to really check it out.
Okay. Reincarnation, I don't know, but incarnation, yes. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe the day of judgment, the eternal,
Right.
the ultimate heaven or hell.
Right.
One life to live. That is YOLO, right? You have what? One life to live. You only live once. The YOLO concept
Yes.
of the Gen Z and the millennials.
Right. Okay. Mhm.
Terrific. So that was such a beautiful discussion. Thanks, Madhvi, and thank you, Vikram. So we can, I think at least the people here, they wanted that 4 or 5 o'clock. Accordingly, you can also put it up, maybe take a poll next time in the group, and we can
I
stick to
will.
this time, And probably to make it easier for you, Vikram, maybe we can keep it even 4. That'll be 1 hour before for you. I mean, 4 to 5 is okay with me, or 4:30.
Next month our time zone will be 1 hour
Yes,
minus. So
yes.
I
It'll be
think
4.5.
4.5. Yes.
Yes. Good.
So
So
that
next, my available date is going to be 12th of April.
12th
I'm
of April.
traveling before
Okay.
that.
I will be in the retreat on 12th of April, so I won't be
Okay.
able to
Oh,
schedule
no.
this
Then we
call.
will postpone it to another day. We'll keep it 19th or something.
Correct.
Tentatively.
So what I'll do is I will publish that. What date?
19th.
Yes.
Yeah, it will not be 12th. Of course, you are required. You most wanted.
Correct.
And so maybe 19th, and I'll confirm the 19th.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we will see the availability and I will publish the date to everyone. Yeah.
Yes. I'll let you.
Okay.
Thank you
That's
so
great.
much, all of you. Anything else that you want to tell me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.